That's about 200 feet away.
Great. Well, we're going to go back to the days of 1964 or 65 for a variety of pictures today. Made mention in the invite that, things seem to come in batches. And I had gotten a couple of years ago a selection of photos that somebody had bought had shot. And it was very nice. He would write on the boxes that the exact date, his f-stop that he took, the lens and everything, which was, I thought, was great. And I got into it, I said, boy, these are some boring pictures. So we're going to see a bunch of them. I've got some of his and some of others, but it's always different when you start thinking back again. One of the things this guy did was, and it's good from a photography point of view, take multiple shots of the same thing. So in case the camera's moving, gets blurred or whatever. But that would meant, if you have a box of 36 images, you actually have 18 subjects or something. And in some cases, he said, "Oh, I'll take 3 or 4 of the exact same thing just to be on the, on the safe side." So as I'm going through and I'm scanning, I'm usually doing something on this computer and scanning over on that one. It's like you put the thing in the scanner, preview it, and go, "Haven't I already done this one?" And you got to take the slide out and go, "Nope, it's another one of the same thing." So let me come up and share screen here. I'll get the date on this 1 second. We are going to start. Come on. We are going to start on June 26, 1965. So like I said, it's very nice to have the actual example of what we're going to do, actual date of what we're going to see. And we're going to see the Mexican Pavilion. Again, these are not ones that have been fully restored or anything. So in some cases, the colors are going to be, a little off, or they might be dark or whatever. But these are the Los Voladores performers outside of Mexico, and it always drew a great crowd as they would swing around and rotate from that thing up top. And after the 64 World's Fair, they had made appearances all through Mexico for years and years, but they were also one of the highlights of Hemisphere 68 in San Antonio. So we have some dancers here. What's nice is the guy had a good camera. I mean, he got some really nice shots. And when I finish cleaning these things up, I think they'll come out pretty nice. But you can see, if I zoom in here, the whole sign here. Pleased to present a spectacular program of music and dances in the ever-living traditions of Mexico. Admission is free. And then they list what their particular ones are, the schedules, and you can see they did 4 shows a day, so they were pretty busy in their hour-long shows. So they did quite a bit. And they had the dancers come out, and I can only imagine how heavy these outfits must have been, and then how long it must take to put them together. But as I said, he took multiple shots, which is great because these, obviously a difference in movement between it. Others are things, static ones. He again got multiple shots. Well, we got our mariachis. I feel like we're at Elvira Street and down here in LA. Off to the left is the Olmec head, which was when it was just the slide said Olmec head, I thought it was the head of Olmec. No, the Olmec are a people of Mexico, and just like the giant heads on Easter Island, the Olmec heads are something, a tradition of that particular area. I don't know if anybody remembers a TV show called Legends of the Hidden Temple. It was a kid show on Nickelodeon, and Olmec head would give the kids clues and tell them if they were doing right or doing anything wrong. And the mouth would move, and it would light up inside and everything. And we were down in Universal in Florida where we shot, and we were giving our kids a tour. And oh my god, there's the Olmec head. So I went behind it, and the mouth just moved by pulling. Actually, it was a giant lever, and he just went up and down on a thing of wood. So I had the Olmec head say, "Hello, Margot," and she was quite amazed that Olmec knew who she was.
Did the original
Bill?
Olmec head have a whole body to it? Was there a body to it, or just the head?
No, just the heads. They just do the heads, just like Easter Island does those. So, like I said, it's just
Easter Island is the whole body.
Yeah, the bodies are buried, but you just see the heads.
Yeah, 60 feet into the
Yeah,
ground.
but they're buried as a whole body.
Bill,
Yeah,
Got a question for you. I'm
Sure.
noticing that stage upon a stage, what looks like a quickly built wooden platform on top of this other stage. Do you think that might have been they learned that the other platform didn't make a good noise when they stamped their feet, to a
That's-
lot of the dancing?
that's probably a very good thing. That's a good point. This is probably all concrete down here. And when
Yeah.
you stomp your feet, it just goes thud. When you put it up here, it goes thunk, thunk, That's,
Of course, the paint job on it's kind of bad, but
I'm gonna have to go back and look at some early 64 photos now, and see if this is a thing to add to my change. Let me make a note of that. Might be one of the things for my changes during the fair, page. God, thanks, Brock. Another rat hole. I didn't have enough to do.
Yeah, look at the stains on the edge of the concrete on the building at the bottom of that trellis work.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's concrete and it dries at different speeds, and if this batch is made a little bit different than that batch, they come out differently. But it's a building that's supposed to last for 2 years, so you only do so much time and everything. Okay, let's see what 1 second message here. I'll get back to it. Okay. And very interesting instrument. Does anybody know what this is called? Some sort of
Hmm.
harp type mechanism, but it looks like it has a giant sound box underneath it
Yeah.
for volume. I just didn't know if any of our musically inclined would know what that was.
I don't recognize it, but I can find it.
Yeah, I've never seen one in person.
I think it's a harp.
Well, it looks like a harp, but it looks like there's a bass to it that looks like, maybe for, again, making this sound amplification or whatever.
Ah, here we are.
It's a bass harp.
Called an arpa jaracha. Arpa jaracha.
How'd you find that?
I searched for Mexican harp,
Oh,
and I got a picture of it right here. It's a large wooden diatonic folk harp, unique to Mexican music,
Oh,
and known for its deep bass tones. But yeah, lots of
Yeah.
pictures of them there. Search for Mexican harp, you'll get tons of pictures. So
I wonder what
arpa
it sounds like.
jarocha.
What's it sound like though? What's the sound like compared to a regular harp?
Well, it said bass-like tones.
Bass-like tones. So
Yeah, so it'd be much deeper. Instead of hearing the pluck of the string, you're hearing a sound chamber create a lot of the sound back.
that's pretty neat. Thank you.
no problem.
And more dancing. Again, now I feel like I'm at any Mexican wedding here in LA. Then they did their rope tricks out there. I got a kick out of this one as I looked at it. And what this guy got a pair of microphones on. It looks headphones. He's got it looks like a microphone in his hand and a cable going off. So I don't know who he's getting the sound for, but looks like he's the sound engineer on site as somebody was filming this. It just looks so out of place compared to everybody else.
Yeah.
And there he is again. That doesn't, and I wonder what sort of sound he's trying to get out of the guy with the rope,
Does a lasso make a sound as it whips through the air, I wonder?
Well,
Oh, yeah.
just a little, I guess. And now he's going the other way.
Yeah.
And back here is our cameraman.
Ah, there it is.
Yep.
That's a small camera for those days.
Yeah. It's probably 16. It's funny, there's a fellow put a video online of a guy named Randy Cartwright, and he was a animator at Disney when I was there, and he got a brand new Super 8 sound camera, and he walked into all the people's offices. Hi, what are you doing? And some of the people were like Tim Burton, and Tim was just goofing around, and Randy just restored the film and put it online this week. I went to an event at Disney on Tuesday, I guess it was Tuesday, Wednesday, and I hadn't seen Randy in probably 30 years, and as soon as he walked in, we remembered each other. So, we were there to see the documentary Disneyland Handcrafted, but Randy and I were spending over there discussing 8mm techniques and what camera he had and the size of the magazine and everything. Turned out he's been shooting 8mm, forever. So it was great to have a chat with another film buff. This guy looks like he's doing still photos of it. And then the dance is over, so we get some pictures here, the human spirit, and some more, and some more. And finally, the last shot in the roll, Norman K. Winston, Commissioner. So again, if you go to my site and you go to changes during the fair, you can see how his name was here in big letters, and I got moved over here in smaller letters. And they had lights that would shine up on it that everybody would pose with the eagle and then knock the lights out. So they finally put this pipe around it. People still kept stepping over it and breaking the lights. So let's see, he finished that roll, and we'll go now to another one. We're going to have the night of October 12th, 1965. So we get our famed New York State Pavilion. All the lights before Joey took them home.
It's only 10 days before closing.
Yeah, it's getting right down to the wire. So you can see the crowds are getting to be pretty good size. Everybody's coming to the realization that all this is going to end real soon. So look at the size of the crowd outside the Vatican Pavilion. And the guy would vary his f-stop and change things from shot to shot. So again, what they call bracketing. And again, this is all when film was expensive, and you had to go and buy it and have it developed and not know what was going to come out. So he spent a good amount of money on his hobby. Don't they look nice?
How'd they light up the underside of the platform?
They had lights down in the ground that shown up. It was
Oh, okay.
Okay, if you guys can identify those cars, I'll be real impressed.
It's a Volkswagen Bug.
Yeah, that is a Volkswagen right in the middle.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. That's all I can get.
Interesting though is look over here, these cars all parked to the side. This is when it was getting so crowded, people would just park their cars on the side of the road and leave them there and go walk into the fair walking in because all the parking lots were full. So
How'd they get into the fairground over the fence?
they just kept walking up the thing. You walk up the on-ramp, the off-ramp, just like a car would go, take you into the parking lot, and you just walk up and get it, buy a ticket and go on in. So at various times, the New York police would put out warnings that, you just can't keep doing this, and people would come back and the cars would be gone. But it's not uncommon on some particularly crowded days. I think people said I drove all the way in from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and I'm not going home. They would just park their car because the old thing of everybody else was doing it. What are they going to do? Us all? Yeah,
I do see a 60 Ford here. The white car in the lead group of those ones parked on the side of the road. I think that is a Ford Fairlane.
I wonder if it was there when he got out. And the Chrysler Zoo. The mechanized animals made out of car parts.
I mean, as large as the parking lots were, they were totally filled up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They not all the time, but particularly near the end of the fair, they were just getting clobbered because so many people had bought tickets, meant to go, didn't get to go. It's too hot, too cold, too wet. Oh my God, it's really going to end. So they went. Then in the middle of all the nighttime shots, he went into the transportation building, the Port Authority building rather, and they had the model here of the coming soon World Trade Center. And so he got a couple shots of that.
Yeah, I was just at the 9/11 memorial a couple of weeks ago when we were on our anniversary trip.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I had actually I worked on the camera control software for those buildings and a few next door. So I'd actually worked in those buildings on business trips.
Yeah, my dad worked in them and, I remember as going for a visit, going to the men's room and the water in the toilets was sloshing because the buildings were made to go with the wind and they had enough movement that like, so the water actually moved and his office would have been somewhere up around here. And I remember being awestruck looking out the window and watching a helicopter pass down around here. I mean,
Hmm.
they were up pretty high.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this was about 6 years before they actually built them too.
Yeah, well, this
Yeah.
one was 65, so they started building it, I think about 69. So,
Mhm.
Bill,
Yeah.
Bill, can you send me copies of those, please?
yeah, sure. I have some others of these I'll send to you also.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
the sphere that used to sit, the globe thing that used to sit between them.
I have a picture of it.
It was hurt when the towers fell and they moved it to Battery Park. Well, they've moved it back now. And that was actually very powerful because I remember seeing it when the buildings were standing, wondering what the heck this thing was. And now the remains of it are standing just up the block there.
I actually have a photo of it.
Yeah, I have photos
When
too.
when they moved it to Battery, what a lot of people also don't know is that there are two different thickness glass in the windows. The lower windows were thinner than the upper. And I still have two pieces of glass from when I was working there and one hunk of marble from the floor.
Yeah, my
That's all
dad,
I got.
Why were the windows thicker? For the wind load on the windows? They had to make the
Yep.
glass thicker?
Yeah. And when they had the first attack in 93, I believe it was,
Yeah, in the basement.
Channel 7, I forget who the anchor was, telling the people, break the window so you have air. Next thing you know, 30 seconds later, he's saying, don't do what I just said,
Yeah.
because people were getting glass shattered all on top of us.
Hmm.
I wasn't at the 93 event. When that went down, I was a lieutenant on station duty, and my fellow lieutenant was the patrol lieutenant that day. We flipped a coin at 6 o'clock. I go, all right, you win. What do you want to do? Stay in or go out? He goes, I'll go out. He goes, I need a quiet day. So he comes in, he's in the bathroom, and that's when all hell broke loose. And I told him, you better zip up your fly, man, because you're going to Manhattan. And the next day, the Newsday came out, and there's his face on page 1 of Newsday.
well, it's a good thing you had him zip up first then.
Yeah, he's lucky he didn't get caught. Yeah, but 93 was a precursor. There was a lot learned from 93 that maybe saved lives in 01.
That's
But
great.
yeah.
Well,
I
this-
got about 2,000 photos from that.
This one, these are all Chrysler cars, so see how good I'm getting from you guys?
Yeah. Well, the first one
Your
is a
2,000 your
Chrysler,
2,000
and then you go
photos, your
to
2,000
Dodge
photos.
and Plymouth.
Yeah,
And this is-
2,000 photos were taken during the 01 attack.
What was that?
You said you had about 2,000 photos. They were taken during the 01 attack.
Yes.
I have a lot of photos too. Some of the first responders sent me a whole bunch of photos. I got tons of them. Things
Yeah.
you wouldn't see published in the papers.
Oh
Yeah.
no. Oh no.
Let's not get caught up there, or we'll be here all day. So
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
this is the night.
I tend to get a little PTSD on when I talk about it.
Oh, I can understand. My dad was in that building, and I can remember telling him that day, "Thank God you're an old fart and you're retired." And my brother was actually at the base of the building when the second plane hit. He was delivering. He was a truck driver delivering stuff, and he looked up at the building, looked down at the traffic light, looked up, and now there's a new hole in the building. And he said to his helper, "We're getting out of here now." So
Yeah.
I think anybody from New York has some stories about it.
Vern's cousin was supposed to be in a meeting. He worked on the floor of the Trade Center, and he got called not to go for some reason. But yeah, he wouldn't have gotten out because he would have
Yeah.
been up at Windows on the World.
Yeah, my dad would have
He's
been the
darn
war
lucky.
warden helping people out. There's the mighty Saturn V, the so-called boat tail stage of it. And if you went to the fair, this was pretty impressive. It was just a giant plywood mock-up, but these engines are full-size copies of the Saturn engines. Matter of fact, I was just talking to a guy the other day that helped build these, and he was very proud of it. And there's one on display outside a building out here in the valley. They sold the property, but they kept the engine and moved the engine to their new property. But when you could stand under here on one of these pylons, there was a button that said push to launch. And I was under there with my brother, I think it was my brother Jerry. And you push the button and red lights would come on and the roar of the rockets and everything. And my brother was so scared to death, he thought the rocket was actually going to take off with us standing underneath it. So,
Is that the moon to the left of the wing?
yes, it's actually up here. Yep. Pretty symbolic, right? Pretty soon we're going to be up there. And then we have the New York City building and just a few cars going by. Another view of the city. This is from the bridge that connects over to the transportation area. So the guy's walking across Grand Central Parkway now. Joey would love these, his playground. We have the Calwell plastic panels of the United States Pavilion. And they had both lights on the inside, but these are all lit up on the inside. So there were giant rows of lights up and down behind each of these panels that would light them up. And you can see the lights down below, but all lit up from inside. The thing really glowed. And the company still makes these panels. So if you decide you want to build your own New York State Pavilion, United States Pavilion, you can, well, actually New York, because they did the ceiling panels there too. And then underneath it, down below, this was the example of the Little Red Schoolhouse. This was an addition during the fair. An organization wanted to promote that, education is important in the smallest town to the biggest town. So this was added here, and they gave out brochures on homeschooling and other sorts of things. But just always kind of, to me, looks a little out of place in this, giant setting. Then if you went up the stairs, you got this planter years after the fair closed that the building sat there in just, empty, and then was kind of destroyed by vandals. But I have the pictures when they tore this down, and this tree, and they tore it down about 8 years later or so. This tree is still standing there, very barren, because I don't think it had been watered, so it only survived on whatever rain came by. But it was just, I always look at this thing and say, boy, that's one defiant son of a bitch. They weren't going to get it until they tore the whole building down. And then again, he liked to take pictures of multiple things. So there was in the steps on one side, there was a waterfall. So we get to look at World's Fair water.
That's cool.
And more World's Fair water.
Yeah, but you don't see it from the front side, can't see the back side.
Yeah, so we got some more World's Fair water. Then you go over to Thailand. So many people took pictures of Thailand because there was a Kodak sign there and you had to do it. But during the day, these windows just bounced back all the light. So inside you start seeing, that was one of the nice things about some of the night shots. You got to see some of the things you might not see during the day. Here, there's not a lot of detail to see, but the curtains look nice, and another shot of it. And
were those shots of taken with regular daylight film, and did you have to color correct them?
Yeah, and this shot, for example, these have all had some preliminary color correction done on it. These were all very yellow. I don't know what filter he should have been using for night shots or whatever, but the colors at night were all off on these. So they had to have some, the first stage of color correction done on them. Yeah, so like on this one, everything here would have been basically yellow. I don't think it's because, and again, I guess the people, you probably know a lot more about it than I do, but whether it's tungsten lights or arc lighting or fluorescent lights and everything, lights all have a different color temperature to them. And at night, things photograph one way, and if you don't use the right filter, they come out the other way. So you can see some of the capitals of the world lit up, and again, mentioned at other talks, these lights were super, super clever. Light bulbs only burn out. It seems like here in my office, the lights, I have a very high ceiling in this office. The lights always burn out on the worst possible time when I come in, turn on the light, and then poof, it goes off. And I literally have to get a ladder to go, change the light bulb. But I didn't want to go up during the fair and change the light bulb. So the lights actually had multiple elements in them. And if they burned out, they automatically detected that the light burned out, and a little motor would swivel around inside the light and bring the next set of filaments into play.
That's
So
cool.
yeah, I have that somewhere on my site. It was a company in New Jersey came up with it. And it was like, how do you make sure the lights are going to stay on, no matter what? And you didn't even have to have anybody, go and flip a switch or anything. It was automatic that they could tell, oh, the path is broken on this circuit, flipped around the lights, and off they would go. Today you could put LEDs in there and be all set. But I thought that was pretty clever for 1960s something technology.
Yeah, I was gonna say at that time, the theater marquees generally had 1 or 2 or 10 bulbs burnt out, and you'd see somebody on a ladder practically every week replacing them.
Yeah, they made a
That's
big
right.
thing at Disneyland about going around every night and changing out all the light bulbs. But it's not uncommon, in this one, they're looking pretty good. It's not uncommon to look over at the New York State Pavilion. And I see they're all, well, there's one out here. But the lights will go out, and again, they would replace them periodically. But getting somebody up, I mean, these are bad enough. Getting somebody up here, that would have been a job and a half. And the GE Pavilion, again, you can see the crowds down below. I couldn't make out on this what the waiting time was, but it's got to be immense, because these are all the people waiting for it, and they're all back at the Tower of Light now. So
Wow.
it's quite a crowd. This was again
What kind of lights did they use on the dome there?
on the building. They had a whole bunch of light. I don't know what they were incandescent lights. I don't remember the exact type, but again, they had multiple colors in there. They had the 3 primary colors in each of these little rectangular or triangles, sort of thing. And they could make patterns. They had a computer which is roughly half the size of my office, and it would go off and change the lights on turning on the red, the yellow, the green, in whatever pattern, or white in whatever pattern they wanted. So if they wanted to make it this color, they would turn it on. But then to make it swivel, the computer would advance the lights and went all the way through. And then they could blink it on, blink it off. They could go back the other way. At the end of the fair, they have an auction catalog, and the computer was in there. And GE had spent something like $50,000 for the computer, and they were trying to sell it as a machine control computer that you could run your shop at. And the last I heard, they were trying to get $3,000, and they weren't having any buyers for it. So, I mean, again, the sort of stuff that people did, real clever things. Who the hell has a light control computer to do that back in those period of time? Today, it'd be a box the size of a briefcase or something. And but it was very impressive. And then just before he goes home, he gets a nice shot of the fireworks. So again, October 12th, as the whole thing is coming down near to an end. Then these next ones, these are shot in September '65, and I don't have the exact date, but I'm trying to place exactly where this is. So if anybody has any particular thoughts or whatever, it's like, okay, it's a kind of neat concrete beam going up. There it is again.
It looks like one of the pylons outside the Ford Rotunda.
Yeah, except they went up, they didn't go through a hole like this. So I have not been able to place this. Then we get this picture here, and I'm trying to place again, because you never know. It's the first shots in the roll. Did you take the first shot someplace else and then go to the fair and finish the rest of the roll?
Well, this looks like it might be at the airport.
It does look that way. And I looked out through here. Again, if we zoom in, we can see
Yeah, it looks like a tram.
this point. Okay, that's great. And we look outside again. If you go out, yeah, that might be runways out there, but there's
That's one of those
I think-
shuttle trams that went from the planes to the gates, is my guess.
I don't think so, because that's a concrete beam that's there sitting next to. I
Well,
don't think
that's
that's,
true, you're right, yeah, that'd be one heavy tram. So
I think
probably
it's
the
just the
area.
waiting area, reception area
Well, I think
at
it's
one
the
of the
waiting area.
gates.
I think it's the waiting area for the tram. I think the tram would pull up, then you go from the waiting area into the tram.
Yeah, yeah.
So, like I said, I have not figured out where that is, but someday maybe we will.
Probably at the airport. That's why you can't figure it out.
Yeah. You can tell though it's the 60s because the seats have ashtrays in them.
Mhm.
Then this one we can tell it's the GE Pavilion. So we hop out to the fair. They had elevators going up here for VIPs that they could go into a VIP lounge. So little walkways going across. A nice closer view, and somebody had a nice little heater. It's funny how things don't change. You go to a patio or a restaurant, you're going to see a heater that looks exactly like that today, 60 years later. And we get our Tower of the Four Winds, and I just redid a video the other day, and the tower is just spinning but good. I mean, all these little things, and Rolly Crump liked to make the mobiles and put them in his office, and Walt then thought, well, how do we dress up this ugly warehouse building that we inherited for Pepsi? And he thought about Rolly and all the little mobiles. So all these things spun around, powered solely by the winds of Flushing Meadows. No motors in them. Then we have Emmett Kelly Jr. I told people the other day when I was doing a talk, when I went to the fair, I had no idea who Emmett Kelly Jr. was, but he was passing out autographed postcards of himself, and his picture was up on the wall of one of the giant pictures there on the Kodak Pavilion. So I figured, well, he's got to be famous to have this picture up there, and he's got to be famous to have pictures on his postcard. So he gave me his postcard, and I still have it. So I keep telling everybody, for 20 something years or going on 30 years in the entertainment industry, here's the first celebrity I ever met. So.
He never smiles.
No, that was his character, I believe, was called Sad Willie, if I remember right.
He was a tramp.
Yeah, and his father had done it, and he took over, and modified makeup and everything. But it was either Sad Willie or Weary Willie.
You ever see what he looked like without the makeup?
I saw one picture of him, but he was very, very. It was after he retired. He was very, just like the guys in Kiss. They were very. He was very guarded in having his picture taken because he wanted to, maintain the persona out on screen. What I try to figure out is, I wonder how often he actually had this suit washed, and I wonder if, oh my goodness, and how many times you do it before it just come apart. In the movie I did, he's out there with his giant Instamatic camera taking people's pictures. And then we have our Skyway and Peace Through Understanding in the background. I was just did an interview the other day, and somebody wanted to talk about the Peace Through Understanding motto. And this guy is young; he's younger than my son. And I said, you have to stop and think about the whole time that the fair was held with the Cuban Missile Crises, and get under your desk so when the atomic bomb goes off, you'll live. And the idea of promoting peace was not a bad idea. How much it made a difference, I don't know, but the fact that maybe, just maybe, when we get to know our neighbors, we won't kill them. A Von Roll Skyway system, and this is, I believe, Jordan. I always get it wrong. So then we will go into the next batch. And, this is another one where you get, oh, wow, this is going to be really cool. Okay, not. June 13th, 1965, Singer Bowl. And you don't see a tremendous lot of Singer Bowl pictures. And it's Flag Day. So, we're going to see a whole bunch of people with marching back and forth. And he's written on the box that, the Marine Corps drill team and everything. So if we look up here, we can see a service orchestra playing. So they had live music, and then they had these fellows are from the Army. I only know that because my college roommate was in the Army, and I recognize the uniform. But now let's march towards each other with our rifles out, and let's stand. I mean, again, you wonder, I'd like to say, wow, these are rare pictures. I don't know how rare they are, but the stage, the stands are not particularly full. And I wonder how many people took as many pictures as this guy did. But we certainly get the Army drill team. If you've ever gone to one of these ceremonies, like at West Point or anything, they're actually very impressive to watch. I mean, their timing is so meticulous and everything. Again, it's the old, I guess, practice, practice, practice. But the people are obviously well trained. The uniforms are spotless, impeccably tailored. And it's a very it's an impressive show. It's not silly. They all come in, march, make very sharp turns. They don't hit the guy standing in the center. Now they're rotating around him. And they come back out. Rifles in the air. And again, the Singer Bowl was to me an absolutely wasted resource. It was hardly had anything in it, and you could have done performances by rock bands or whatever. Charge people an extra $2 to come in and see whoever during the fair. So if people only wanted to see the band, they still would have had to pay the fair admission. But Robert Moses absolutely detested that sort of music, so it just wasn't going to happen. And he let this facility sit empty, I'd say a good 95% of the time. Real shame. Like I said, lots of shots. Rifles up in the air, catch them as they come down.
Pardon me.
Why are the hats on the ground?
I think that I can see when the rifles are up in the air.
Yeah,
Past
that's it.
because they get into the thing to see how high you can throw these, and they go pretty damn high. So they're finishing their routine. And now in come the Marine Corps. I mean, they've been waiting all this time. You can see the signs up here thanking the U.S. Army. Now the Marine Corps is going to come in. And boy, they're going to be, that's pretty impressive, isn't it? That's a lot of people. So down below, you can see they have the colonial style, the first uniforms worn by the Marines when they were formed, and then the more modern ones in that triangle or diamond shape formation. But again, look how empty the stands are. It's a real shame. Just flipping through these kind of quick. The flags of the original 13 colonies. And various.
I was going to say, Bill, maybe it was a slow day. Is there a date on these photos?
Yes, just June 13th, 1965.
June 13th.
But again, if you're at the World's Fair and you can get a chance to go see the dinosaurs or this show, again, most people pick the dinosaurs. So let's see what else we got here. Okay. All right, so we go to some different things. So we have a sales brochure here for Bennett Goes to the World's Fair. And if you didn't know who Bennett was the company that made the modern gas pumps for Sinclair. And the whole concept was that, people pull up to the gas island and they would rotate the pump to come over to you. So every time I go to Costco, you're wondering if the person in front of you is going to pull up the pump, or don't you realize your gas cap's on the right and you pulled up to the left. Well, this was going to be great. These things are going to rotate around. In the center was displays of Sinclair oil and antifreeze and other things that, sir, can I top up your oil for you while I'm here? So this was then doing mock-up and testing of it, and in this particular case, it looks like the gas tank must have been inside the car. I don't know what he's doing, but you can see it's not at the fair. Do you guys have any idea what kind of car this would have been?
I don't know, but he's vacuuming the car.
Yeah, I think that's the vacuum. The pumps are still up on the thing.
Okay, great. That
Yeah.
makes more sense.
That's
Yeah.
probably a what do you call it, car, that they have at all the car shows, their
Concept.
latest, yeah, concept car. I think I've seen it. It was definitely a Chrysler concept car with those bullet ends on the front end of it. I think that was, circa 1960s. So
Right.
And
Pretty neat
the pump
looking.
looks like a jet engine, doesn't it?
Yeah.
yeah,
So again, here's
jet
the
engine.
mechanism would rotate. You can see the wheels down at the bottom of it, rotate around. In the background, the little extra thing over the left. Oh, you need air. We can go and pull that out. And
Oh, and the hoses pull out from a reel inside there.
yep.
yeah.
And gas was what, 37 cents?
37.5 cents a gallon. I don't think I've ever seen a half. I've always seen 0.9, but this is 37
Yeah,
cents.
Yeah, who they fool with the 0.9? It doesn't
Yeah.
fool anybody.
And I tell you, this was actually fairly expensive gas to that point in time, because I remember I
yeah.
worked at a
It
gas
should have
station.
been 10 cents less.
Yeah, I worked at a gas station back in college. It would have been about 1970, and we were 29 cents a gallon.
That's about right.
Yeah, but big
I
sale.
remember, yeah, I
Penny.
remember my uncle's gas station, guys coming in for $1, $2 worth of gas.
My dad,
Yeah.
all the time, we'd pull into this gas station. I went $2 worth, which today was, are you out of your mind? Half a gallon, but $2
Yeah,
worth
give you
back
half
then
a
was
tank.
close to 10 gallons.
Yeah.
Plus, they gave you a 6-pack of glasses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Solid
Yes.
and everything.
There's where the gas cap is. See?
Yeah. Yeah. And then hidden door handles. I didn't read the whole headline, but China has just banned hidden door handles on cars. So I think that's their way of fighting Tesla or something else. But I don't think I'd ever seen a hidden door handle back in the 60s.
Yeah, look at the curve on the glass windshield.
Yeah. Look how low the thing would be when the roof came up. He had to have his head pretty much up against the roof liner.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was just kind of a neat thing to find. Somebody had copies of those. And
Notice the way the attendant has to wear a shirt and tie.
yeah, well, back then a lot of the gas stations did. It's amazing. So we're gonna jump over here to August of '61. We're gonna hop all over, and its fair is going up. So it's looking pretty good. And you figure this August of '61, they still have 3 years to go. Well, some of the pavilions, like IBM, are coming along pretty well. I would have to go and look at a map and really try to figure out what's there in the right. You can see the big fantail of General Motors going up. And just over here, you can just pick up the columns of the New York State Pavilion, but no, no towers or roof. And then we have Travelers Insurance. And then let's just zoom in here real quick. And we can see who's building this. So I haven't gone around. If I ever have spare time, I might try to find out some of these companies, if they're still around and if they have any construction photos or history in their archives. But somehow I doubt if the number CO65252 is probably still theirs. But
Well, they're only a subcontractor. They were only doing plumbing. You're
Yeah.
looking close. Yeah.
yeah. Plumbing and
Yeah.
heating.
Yeah. So they're
Yeah.
just the subcontractor.
Yeah, but again, they may still have some stuff of their work out there, so who knows. Then General Electric, looking pretty good. It was one of the ones that was done fairly early because Disney and that needed a lot of time to install the AA figures and everything else inside. So Disney was very emphatic that they had to have a great lead time on their pavilions. The only one they didn't have a great lead time on was Pepsi, because that was created so late. Then here in the back, you can see Kodak, and you can see they have one picture up on the the panel here, and then the other panels, again, if we zoom in a bit, these pictures here were being held on by suction. So these are screens here with giant fans that are blowing into the pavilion and holding the prints against them. So over here, they're putting up one of the pictures, and I don't think the whole thing is up, but they did it. They had obviously done mock-ups of this back at Rochester, but they were putting these up as early as possible, A, to test the mechanism and make sure everything worked, but also B, was great exposure because all the New York newspapers got shots of this and put it in there. It was in the news, and now everybody driving by the construction site, the name Kodak was up on the building. Matter of fact, that picture is they first put it up with very temporary letters just to get anything up there, and as soon as they could, they got the full name up. And you can see again, Kodak World's Fair site. And we will zoom in here. Now, if you had a car like that, would you drive it through this construction site?
With the top down,
Yeah.
with the dirt.
Do we have any idea which kind this is?
Well, that's an MG.
MG? Okay.
Yeah.
And a Volkswagen
Yeah.
camper,
Yeah.
The bus.
Bus, yeah.
Volkswagen
minibus,
bus.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think the
VW
camper,
bus.
it looks like a solid roof. And then they had temporary signs up all over the place because nobody knew where anything was. So if you told somebody to go down Meridian Road, you better have a street sign that says Meridian Road, and then you turn left Avenue of Africa or whatever. But again, you can see here more partial picture here going up on the wall, the panel here. So
Was that roof poured concrete like that?
yeah, they this was all done with wooden frames, and then they poured concrete over it. And then up here you can see they're doing the moon dome part of it where the theater was. So George
Quite a
Fo-
bit of framework to get the curves like that.
plywood. They warped the plywood, got it wet, bent it in the shape that they wanted, and then
Oh,
here they're doing the tower on the moon roof. So they've got the scaffolding up there, and you can see they've got framework inside. But they basically they made a whole big thing that this is all shaped plywood, and you know the plywood people were making a big thing about how that it was. And if you want to go and find out more, there's the company that did the concrete construction on the Kodak Magic Carpet, which was the original name, and then they changed it for some reason to the Kodak Moon Roof, but it was going to be the Kodak Magic Carpet.
Hmm.
Oh, and this one I get a real kick out of. If we zoom in again on it. Just so there's no doubt about it, this is a temporary construction sign. You know, why they had to put that on there, and I didn't think anybody would, think, you're gonna leave it up during the fair, but no, it is a temporary construction sign.
Well, that's because it got replaced with the GAF sign.
Oh, come on, that's mean. But just again, the pandemonium of the site, everything going on, just craziness. Kodak was one of the first pavilions built, and it was the first major pavilion taken down. So Kodak was very good on meeting their post-fair obligations of clearing the site, and they took that puppy down. They got out of Dodge real quick.
I wonder
So
what their hurry was.
what's that?
What was their big hurry to demolish it?
I think just like everything else, the faster you get it done, it's paid for. You're not paying people to do it. You cut your expenses and off you go. So let's go back here to June of '64. Again, these are not color corrected, so when they're shot, they sometimes pick up a different hue, and they've got to be color corrected. But we'll get there. So
I wonder how temporary was that Kodak building with all that concrete work?
well, it could have lasted a while. I mean, all these buildings, although they're called temporary, they had to meet a relaxed building code. The city of New York, of course, had a normal building code, but they came up with a special one for the fair, which made the buildings cheaper to build, because if you had to make the full fair, the full building code, it would have been very expensive. But you had certain things that it had to survive. It had to be fire safe. It had to be wind resistant to a certain level and everything. But you did not have to, for example, if you were putting on this building here at the Transportation Travel Pavilion, you didn't have to build a roof that would be of a 10 to 20 year length. So you could use, lesser shingles and, that sort of thing. But the buildings all still had to meet, safety standards.
Had to take the snow load too.
Yeah, the snow load and wind load. That was one of the things. That's why the Tower of the Four Winds turned out to be a much heavier structure than Rolly Crump first anticipated, because he went and designed it with very thin soaring spires, and the construction company said that wouldn't survive in a hurricane, and we can't have these pieces coming off in a windstorm. So they built a much heavier set of pipes, which Rolly detested, and that's why he didn't want it brought back to Disneyland. He was quite happy when it was demolished. So down here we have the Wisconsin Pavilion, and you for a quarter you could get a burlap sack and ride down the slide from the silo. And down here we have a very, very important piece of gear, the air conditioning system, which kept the giant cheese air conditioned. Can't have the cheese go bad. Imagine having a ton of rotten cheese sitting at the fair. That would have been bad.
You got a helicopter on the landing pad too.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is the Port Authority, and I was just talking to somebody the other day, and at the event at Disney, Howard Green, if anybody from Disney knows him, he's a great publicist, and we were talking about things, and I mentioned the only thing I think I didn't go on was the helicopter, because I didn't have the money for it. And he lived in Pennsylvania somewhere, and he said they made 3 trips to the fair, and he got to ride the helicopter. So I'm very mad at Howard now.
Wow.
Bill, I'm gonna interrupt for 1 second. That concept car we saw at the gas station.
Yeah.
That was a Cadillac Cyclone concept car from
Wow.
the 1960s.
I never would have thought Cadillac.
Yeah, it turns out I was thinking it was Chrysler, but it was Cadillac.
Cadillac, thank you. So then we have the Wisconsin Pavilion, and this center pavilion is now a radio station, and I think it's called Neilsville, Wisconsin. This structure here was sold off and is the dining hall at a Boy Scout camp. But this was a great spot because it was Tad's Steakhouse, and Tad's. I think there's still one, or maybe 2 left in Manhattan. But when
No.
he took us into Manhattan, he would take us to Tad's, and oh boy, it was a steak, a piece of steak, a baked potato, a piece of garlic bread, I think for $1.99 or whatever. And we were just living in heaven to go to Tad's Steakhouse. So to come to
Sorry, they're all closed.
they're all closed now. That's too bad. Yeah, I
And
can.
you get a small salad. A
Yeah.
salad.
The last time we went to one, we were in New York, and there was a Tad's, had to go, and I could see why they're gone now. But
Yeah.
this is, we've seen all the brass rails with the bubble roofs on them. Well, Brass Rail operated a number of other restaurants. They had a steak restaurant and an Italian restaurant, and this was a restaurant outside the New Jersey Pavilion. So they served a slightly higher class of food than the bubble roof ones, but all these things down here are picnic tables and some shades around here. And obviously this is taken from the New York State Pavilion, but very nice and colorful to look down. And like I said, come and have a nice day. And over here, this was a display, all the little metal trays that you see, a souvenir of the World's Fair. They actually had a little assembly line here that they would put blank metal in. They would press out the shape of the tray, apply the artwork to it, and you could buy the souvenir you just watched being made in front of you. The main part of New Jersey, which got an award for architectural innovation, the big poles there were holding up the roofs down below, so they had a lot of exhibit space. Unfortunately, one of the few fatalities at the fair occurred during the construction, when the sky wires holding up these poles snapped and came down and killed somebody. So, you think about all the things that could go wrong, and you wouldn't think a pavilion like this would be a death trap, but it turned out to unfortunately be that way. And the sort of picture that my co-author in my World's Fair books would say, If I see one more picture of the Unisphere from the New York State Pavilion, I will scream. So it's a good thing Phil's not with us today.
That looks too low.
Well, no, I think it all depends. Remember the tower, the observation tower had 2 levels. So if you go down to the lower
Yeah.
one, you can probably get this. What's interesting is I don't have the exact date of this, but look how empty the fair is. You know, again, this would be a good day to set the time machine. The brass rails are very clean, so it's going to be you know, kind of early in the year, but you know, no flags out on the flagpoles. I don't think the signs are up for the names of them, but you know, there's certainly nobody there that day. You know, and then you can see other things changed over time. They put the name Greece up on the roof of the building here, so you could see what you're looking at from New York State. But and then up here they put the Paris pavilion up here. But it's pretty quiet day.
I wonder why.
I don't know. Skyway doesn't look like it's running.
Well, that was midday too, if you looked at the shadow lines.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
that's midday, beautiful, sunny, warm day. It's warm out, the leaves are on the trees.
Yeah. Belgian
Yeah.
Village is still under construction.
Can you go back to, yeah, what's that area with the red and white roof? Yeah,
Oh, over here, that's Ghana.
no, over to the upper right.
Oh, it looks like a merry-go-round, yeah.
Oh no, that's the American Israel Pavilion. So
Down lower, there's a red and white.
oh, okay. Yeah, this is a food area. Okay. There's so many red things there. Yeah. So over here you have a what you call it, a food stand, and this was one of the areas that didn't do too well and was replaced by I think they call the it was international organization came in and revamped this for the 65 season. But yeah, this was a food area, and it wasn't so successful because there wasn't a lot of way to get in it. If you look at it, you've got Switzerland blocking you over here. You've got the Sky Ride over here. You could take the walkway in here past Paris. But so for the next year, they basically tore this out and put in a whole different walkway and got people in there. But yeah, this was snack bars. Well, we got the nice day again. Mentioned earlier, the Belgian Village still being under construction. Most of it is coming along pretty well. So over here, what they did at points was they would open up parts of it. So because the guy was desperate, you can imagine, you know, he's way behind schedule. He's losing money. If we can't open up the whole village because they're still doing construction over here, we can at least try to get you to come in and buy some waffles or something over in this section. And let's see what's up on the Kodak Pavilion. We have a ocean liner, and I am not sure what that one is. I'll have to try to map that.
Looks like somebody in a boat.
Yeah, it was like a woman in a boat with a sailboat in the water.
Yeah, yeah.
Boy in the boat or something, yeah,
Yeah, little toy sailboat.
yeah.
And our helicopter, this is taking the tour. Now, you can see the parking lot had a bit of cars here, but mostly empty back here. This was the one my dad would park in, we would take us. So they did fill up. All of these spots would fill up all the way out here. They'd fill up here. Also, they used the parking lot for Shea Stadium when there were no games. That was used for World's Fair parking. So they could fit quite a few cars in, but some days that just wasn't enough. And then see if it shows up here. No, up here, out here is the Sinclair gas station with those modern pumps.
I remember they had shuttle buses from the parking lots.
Yep, yep. So out here, this is another pavilion that was reserved that was never built, and then we have the Westinghouse, and down here Alaska. This area here, I've got this on my site for things that changed during the fair. They had a small set of stands here where the people came out and performed. You can see a real crude stage, but they decided to do something more. And I've got some close-ups of some of these pictures advertising, come on in. But this became the Ding-a-lot for Beer Garden because people said, hey, beer is selling really well at the fair. It's particularly so hot both summers. So this got redone. Here we have Colonel Morley's fried chicken shop. So he was trying to compete with Colonel Sanders. And I actually looked up, Colonel Morley had a number of them down in the Louisiana area and I guess did fairly well. And this is all part of Bourbon Street, so his theming fit real well in there. I'll start screaming for my partner again. Okay, the roof, again, I cannot imagine, as the one guy did, having to walk out on this roof and change the light bulbs here. That had to be, he was doing that in the post-fair years, and he stepped on one of the panels and it fell underneath his feet, fell below. So he said he never did quite tell his parents what he did for a living. There's our helicopter. It does look at, I mean, we got smog and stuff that was, typical for New York at the time, but it does look like a pretty darn nice day, doesn't it? Nobody's driving to the fair today.
I think those vacant days are probably Sundays just before the fair opened.
Well, again, if the people are saying the shadows are midday, it could be a Sunday, of course,
Yeah, I think just a Sunday afternoon where workers, we're home and.
Wouldn't the grounds open at about 9 o'clock and the pavilions at 10?
Yeah.
That was a Sunday.
Well, if it was a Sunday, it would be at church or whatever, I guess. And
Yeah, could be. You know,
Well,
they,
just not
this
working,
nice
having a
day-
day off.
this nice sunny day would look a lot better when you color corrected, Bill.
it should turn out nice. But look at all that empty road these people have for themselves.
Yeah,
Not
that's
gonna
not
happen.
normal.
Not gonna happen today. But again, during summertime, because people know the trees are all fleshed out, nobody's wearing heavy coats or anything, so. Chrysler.
Bill, you should refer to those helicopters instead of our helicopters. Just call them Howard Green's helicopters.
Yeah. I still remember how loud this fountain was with these simulated rocket engines going. They were big. If you compare this shot of the giant car to the other one we had of 65, there was a parking ticket left on the windows, overstayed parking for 65, which always struck me as being rather strange. Made it sound like they weren't planning on being there, but yeah, they put a parking ticket under the giant windshield wiper. In the back, you can see the crane, the Hall of Science is going up. And we have some people enjoying Ford. And of course, Mustang display area. Is there actually a Mustang on display? Yep, it's rotating. We're looking at it there. In Hong Kong, 3 Chinese junks for the 64 season. One of them taken out to put an extra gift shop in for 65. Yeah, so this is the initial scan. I always scan them twice, and this was the second scan the scanner did. So I'll go back and work on them all. Now, this guy, he had a real problem finding a parking spot. So here we go for Brock, and you can visualize that you're up there having a drink. If we zoom in a little, does it show? No, it doesn't really show on this, but we had Pepsi at the World's Fair, we had Coke at the World's Fair, we had 7-Up at the World's Fair. Over here, this was A&W root beer at the World's Fair. So yeah, they had the logos just there. I do have other pictures. Like everything else, they realized over time nobody realized that they were serving A&W root beer here. So let's put up a bigger sign. And you have to. I've always stopped and thought, how do you go and plan for the fair, do all this, and not realize that put your name up in as big ass letters as you can. But yeah, that was A&W root beer. Then I mentioned. Sorry, had some. Mentioned Robert Moses detested rock music. This was an empty area of the fair that was not sold. to anybody, so he convinced at the last minute to bring Tipperillo in and the Tipperillo Band Pavilion. There's no signage up here for it at the moment, because I can't quite make out what that might be. But this is where Guy Lombardo and the Royal Canadians would play, and they put up a big banner there. And I can't quite make out what this was.
It's a high school band. That's what the second
Yeah.
line says, but
Something starts with a C. Clacton?
Moses had a lot of things he disliked. He had a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
strange ideas.
Right. So when I work on this and I try to do some sharpening and everything, I'll see if I can figure it out. But somebody's band and they're playing. What's I feel sorry for them is look at the audience. Three people. Hey, down in front, we need to see.
yeah.
A lot of times I do have some pictures of these bands where they're just coming and practicing and warming up, and then later in the day they get quite a crowd. Because you can imagine if you're playing at the band, everybody's mother, father, brother, uncle, cousin is going to come and listen to them.
Right.
It says Clairton, Clairton.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Somebody,
Figure after a while, it would have been nice to come in just to sit down.
yeah, out in the sun though. So, in Indonesia with a escorter going by, so we know it's 64. UAR, Egypt, and again we have the the Skyway's running today, but not much. They must have just turned it on. And the solar fountain. Everybody's dressed so nicely. Look at the little girls dress here and everything, and they're certain different times. New Jersey again. No flags. Just looking down the street, Schaefer, Federal Living Center. Ties. Well, this guy's got a name tag on, so we'll let him go. All built in Indonesia, taken apart, sent over here with a craftsman that came in from Indonesia to reassemble it. This was one I did some restoration on, so the colors are brighter. But again, GE super successful pavilion, and the lines filled up, went all the way around, filled up the empty pavilion spot next to it, and you had to put lanes and lines, and then for 65 shade over them. The Tower of Light, we talked, I think, last week or so about the steepness of the emergency exit stairs. So that would be the end of that group. Okay, so one of the more seldom seen things, the Hertz Travel Center. So we have Hertz travelers, strollers all around the place, but if you came here and you wanted to rent a car, they'd be glad to do that. But they also ran a full service travel agency. So besides just renting a car, they had all sorts of brochures. They'd be glad to book your flights, get you your hotels and everything. And again, I was glad to get this picture because it just doesn't show up. It's, again, the sort of thing, you go to a World's Fair, you see all the crazy buildings. And but this was a concept Hertz had for trying to get out of just the car rental business and become travel agents, and they later abandoned it. Then we go over to the Santa Maria, and one of the mannequins they had up there working on the ship up on the deck there. So we can tell that this is the 65 season, because in the background we now have the Florida Citrus Water Ski Show. We're in 64, that would have been the Wonder World. Looks like another nice day. They had a lot of blue skies during that year.
They were in a drought too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's why so few clouds in any of them. So in this particular one, the Sid and Marty Krofft show here, and they have all the things up here. So we see, if I zoom in, whatever
Whole
this
new
is.
66 edition, but it closed in 65.
That's right. Just like the 65 cars came out in 64, right? So
Yeah.
they have all these great things. I guess quotes from Time magazine. But I look at this one and say, okay, is that the way it's spelled in some other language, or the guy just not real good at signs? Anybody know of a town?
Success at all.
Suckers.
Ran out of room.
No, it's French. Grand Souci.
Okay,
To the right, it says Grand Successo.
No, Grand Souci.
And I think that's what it says in Hebrew.
this one, yeah.
Grand Successful.
I can't translate that.
I can translate this
Oh,
one.
want me to get my rabbi on?
Great exit, apparently.
Yeah. And
Great
then
exit from the fair.
fun at the fair, money was script again. You got coupon books that would give you, you could buy a book of, I have one of the books around, like $10 worth of coupons for $5. And then, that would give you money off here at this particular show. 2,000 fountain, Jets in the Fountain, a real ice stage, giant waterfalls, fireworks, rain. Wow, I think I want to go to that. When you get inside, you find out it's puppets, so it wasn't quite as exciting.
But they were big both in Seattle and San Antonio too.
Yeah, they were a huge hit. So here we have the AMF monorail station. I was just looking at some pictures of it coming down the other day. But down below here again, this was a VIP lounge. If you thought you were going to build a monorail in your city, they would come in here and wine you and dine you and try to get you to build one. And unfortunately, all the wining and dining didn't work. Nobody ever built one. And this is the Tower of Power, showing all the GM trucks will go from these giant haulers all the way up to your little cargo van up here. And it is a nice day. It's 75 degrees out.
Of course, it wouldn't fit under an overpass.
Yeah, right. But it's pretty good. GM's Tower of Power, the truck to do your handling job. And they've been building it since 1902. So, they had quite a display out there. And we over here, Walters International Wax Museum, and of course, what do we have here? We have monsters inside, so we need to come and see that. And you can get a snow cone or souvenirs. I'd be probably more interested in going to get some souvenirs, but it's the official headquarters. I mean, for the entire fair, imagine that. That's the official headquarters. I hope you're impressed. The log flume ride, big. I mean, seems like log flume rides were everywhere for a while, but this was the first big one put in. And after this, Expo 67 had to get one. Everybody had to get a log flume ride, but this was a pretty good success. The aerial tower ride, pick you up. This top part would rotate, give you the view come down. It did get jammed and some people got stuck, but they got them back out. And 30 years after the fair, I got contacted by some attorneys because somebody had built one of these in Germany, and whoever built the original one for the United States was suing them for violating their patent because, yes, they actually had an aerial tower ride patent. And I was asked to provide photos and everything to compare the German copy with the American original. I never did hear how the lawsuit turned out, but I've told people if there was ever anything at the fair, I expected somebody to make a legal copy of. This would be at the bottom of my list.
Hey,
Bill?
Bill, did you ever see any photos taken from that ride?
Yeah, I do. I have one or two of them. It was not a good one to take photos from, Wayne, because they had a very heavy mesh around it that kept people from falling out or throwing things out. So in the one or two pictures I have, you can see they had put the camera lens right up to the metal, and there's some vignetting around the image where they shot through it, like trying to take a picture through a chain link fence.
Bill, I was gonna say that this what looked like a shade structure there. Probably was good for the shade, but I don't think I'd want to stand under it during a rainstorm.
Oh, this area here?
Yeah, all the wood is warped and separating at the joints.
Yeah. And you can see, you mentioned that again. Look at it; it's pulling up here.
Yeah.
Hey,
That's the loading platform for the flume ride. You're going to get wet anyway.
Yeah, but it's,
Well, but down this lower one, there were people underneath it. It was like it was either a line, waiting line, or maybe there was food down there. I don't know,
oh,
but
it's the waiting
but look
line.
at that.
Yeah. But again, we're building it for the last for 2 6-month seasons. I'm gonna use this, the cheapest crap I can get.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's that log flume ride aesthetic that you're supposed to enjoy.
Ah, that's it. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
And the AMF monorail chugging around. This was a open air gazebo with no top on it for 64. They added it for the Oompa band for 65. So again, beer was a big thing, and if you could go there and you listen to the musicians play, and everybody could get up and do the chicken dance.
Yeah, look at all the snow in the ground.
No, it's a white gravel. White
Oh.
gravel. And then on this one, we can kind of zoom in here and see it looks, what kind of day is this? Somewhere in the late afternoon. My uncle was on the
It's
crew that
5:30.
connected all these clocks to the Swiss Pavilion master clock.
Looked like about 4:30.
Yeah, that would be
30 or 5:30.
5:30. 5:30. It said 5:30.
5:30.
5:30.
Okay.
4:30 Eastern, 5:30 Central. No. Log flume. Greyhound. This was a big modern thing because you went in and you could heat your own food with a microwave oven. I mean, this we joke about things like that, or I joke about it, but since 1964, the average American had never seen or heard of a microwave oven. So you come in here and get your food.
How they get those monorail cars off the track at the end of the fair?
They had a elevator. There was one section of the track that had a motor lift on it. That's the same way they got them up at the beginning or during the fair to take them down for maintenance. So it had a whole section that would lower the entire track down. They'd take the car off and then it would raise that section of track back up. So it was a cutaway section.
That's clever. Great.
You could come in, they had
Back then, they were not known as microwaves; they were known as radar ranges because the Manor was what Manor was what-
Radar ranges, yeah.
well, I think that was their brand name, but I think in generic they were
They're microwaves, yeah.
yeah, microwaves. So you can see up with something here, the meals of tomorrow. So you had a snack bar, you had food, you could get a full meal. They had a full-size restaurant inside besides the snack bar, and a nice elegant dining room. You could go in and see Miss Greyhound, their dog mascot, and they had movies inside of all the places that Greyhound could take you. And a comparison, the old antiquated 1915 milk truck with a brand new modern 1965 milk truck.
with an antiquated woman standing next to it.
And inside we have Lady Greyhound. So she's she's wearing her tiara, she's all set, and she's got her fine jacket on here. You can imagine, what was your job? My job was making sure I cleaned up after Lady Greyhound. Out here with these little flags were all the places that Chrysler products are sold around the world, and they flapped very lively in the wind. I'm not sure exactly when this was taken, but you notice now people are starting to wear coats and stuff again. This shows up a lot. Why? Because there's a Kodak picture spot sign. So I must obey the laws of Kodak and get the picture. One of the real cheapo, throw up a Quicko type restaurant. So, but what do we have for sale here? Hot dogs, hamburgers, beer. But hot dogs, beer, and hamburgers. So I always just got a kick out of this: hot dogs, beer, hamburgers. Me, I would have put beer in the center, but no, they went with beer. So it is air conditioned. We do have soft drinks, and oh, that looks so tasty. Buns looks a little burned though, but if you
No, I think that's the cheese melted on the burger patty.
Yeah, look at the prices too.
this just looks burned here. Yeah.
The
I like
platters
it.
are only about $1.50.
Yeah, we could get bratwurst and sauerkraut, so that sounds pretty good. You know, we got, oh, okay. Friday special, baked something, baked ribeye steak. Ooh, that's, or baked rib steak, it looks like. Okay. So we have all sorts of good food. And back to the Lady Greyhound. Now, this one was an unauthorized picture. There wasn't a Kodak sign there, so that they were really going out of their way. Santa
I
Maria,
liked her pose.
yeah,
Very natural, yes.
and
He
she's got
had some of that double beer.
yeah, she's got her bag of Lowenbrow souvenirs, and you know, they sold mugs and all
It's her
sorts.
beer.
Yeah.
Beer.
Then we have Santa Maria, the ship that discovered America. And when you think about going to see the ship that discovered America and all that sort of thing, oh, in the background here, real quick, before I forget, there's the Sinclair gas station. But if you're going to go and see the Christopher Columbus's flagship, what are you going to do? You're going to go and get a soda, something to drink, and popcorn. Or in the way, you get a hot pretzel. I mean, you know, nothing says spaceship or, you know, spaceship of the 1492 and a hot pretzel.
Well, there's a sign next to that that said, see the 10 wonders? See yellow sign to your right?
Yeah, that's a good one. Thanks. I can't see it all because I see the pictures of all you people here. They had things that were inside were a piece of like a bone, a fragment of Christopher Columbus, some, you know, wood from the actual ship, supposedly, things like that. So the whole list of things have come on in and see all these relics and stuff of you know, of Columbus. Some of it was like replica of a jeweled something that the Queen sold off to raise the money to give to Columbus. It was all Columbus journey artifacts, not all real. Like I said, some of it was.
Bone fragment of Columbus. Huh.
Yeah, yeah. So it's
What's
up in a
Like
little.
Columbus.
If you're on the main deck looking down towards his cabin, there's a. I have other shots of it. There's a little. I don't want to say a treasure chest or, you know, a little box, very ornate looking box that's open and you can supposedly see the bone fragment.
Here's that doing again.
Yeah,
It's a living.
Those pictures of Chrysler look awfully quiet to me. Didn't they have some fountains or something in there?
where's that?
The Chrysler.
Oh, the fountains. Yeah, they and that. If we go back here, I'll do that real quick. They did have fountains, and they're submerged here. And you can see maybe some of the rippling of the water, but they only ran them certain times. One of the things in some of the pictures, I've actually got the guys out here in hip boots and nets that are out there cleaning the fountains, because you can imagine all sorts of stuff went in. But the movie that I just finished doing the other night, the fountains are going but good out here as these things are all spinning around. So I think they're maybe we can even see here. No, I thought maybe I'd see one of the jets, just debris. But yeah, they did have fountains. They also, and none of them show in this picture, they had cars that were on platforms that were out in the water, and the water came up underneath. And they found they had to put extra waterproofing under those cars because they were, you know, shooting jets of water up on them for 6 months. And, you know, it was wearing the cars. So the Chrysler folks had to say, when you send a car to the fair, you know, give it this extra thing of water protection. Let me go to the- Be pretty embarrassing if your car rotted away on you on
Yep.
Then we have the Eastern Airlines. Boy, I flew a lot of trips on those, the official airline of Walt Disney World.
Mm-hmm.
We worked for Disney. You flew Eastern, and
Yeah.
yeah, Rocky shaking his head. Didn't
Yeah.
mention other airlines had direct flights that could get you there and save you a lot of wear and tear. Nope, I don't know how many trips I made through Atlanta on my way to Orlando.
Eastern and then Delta became the big one
Yeah.
later on. That was much better.
Well, Carol and I were on a trip to Orlando where we had to fly to come out. They flew us up to Atlanta, and the plane had problems and couldn't get out, and it just took forever. There's another time I flew from Orlando to Atlanta to LA, and my luggage showed up, I think, 4 days later. And that was the fun of making the connections and everything. And
Yeah.
Frank Gate at Disney called, your luggage is here. I mean, that was fun. But yeah, Eastern, I mean, they had quite a route map of where they went.
But they didn't
Hey,
go to the
Bill?
West Coast
No,
at that time.
That's the name.
not in '64 they didn't, but by
No, they eventually did.
yeah, you can see they were planning to West Coast.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, planning to. These are all the areas they were gonna go to at some point in time. But yeah, they were a big airline, and like I said, they did a whole bunch. I don't know if Eastern ever got to Europe from Bermuda. Wow, I doubt it. But to the Northeast and Canada, it's all stuff that's coming.
It was also going to go there from Boston. It set up at the top,
Oh yeah,
Europe.
Say, Bill,
yes.
would you mind going back now 2 pictures, 3 pictures to Lady Greyhound?
Oh, I can do that. You did pay for the premium photo pass, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, great.
The premium. Oh, yeah, there you are. I was wondering, the picture on the wall to her right in the center, with a man, looks like he's in a suit or a tuxedo.
Dark suit.
Yeah,
Looks like
dark.
Charlie McCarthy.
To her right. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry.
No,
to
no.
her
To her left.
Her left. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse
To her
me.
left.
Excuse
The
me.
dark photo.
1 second. Mark,
I don't
can I
think
give
it's
you a
Charlie
call?
McCarthy, no.
Something.
No, it looked like I was gonna say it looked like Bill Cullen, but it also looks like who was that clown that used to be the host, one of the hosts of the Tonight Show?
Steve Allen.
Steve Allen, yeah. But I don't, now that I look closely, that doesn't look like him. So I didn't know if these were any major celebrities, because they're all posing with dogs, and I guess greyhounds in this photo. But for some reason I thought that looked like Bill Cullen, and I just, it just caught my attention, that's all.
Oh, it could be. I mean, up here, I don't know. So again, that they're not sharp. I'd have to. Let's go to another set of them because there's several.
Yeah,
of them
looks
to roll.
like they're all celebrities.
I mean, that's what I'm thinking. They're all celebrities of some nature, either with their greyhound or posing with greyhounds. I mean, look when that down in the one in the center, down in the bottom there with the greyhound on the piano. I mean,
Yeah.
that looks like
Victor Borga. It's Victor Borga.
Well, these
Yeah.
are all Lady Greyhound meeting people, and again,
well, maybe that's what it is. Okay, all right. Okay. Thanks, Bill.
No, that was interesting. Good call.
the Lady Greyhound Christmas card.
With her tiara and her tutu.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's the trouble. Celebrities fleeting, right? So back then, maybe everybody know who this guy is playing the piano, and looks like here he's giving her something to eat or whatever. But yeah, I mean, this guy does look like could be Bill Cullen. Well, who knows? All right, we will go back here. Okay, more of Eastern Airlines. Again, you could come in here and you can make a reservation. The nice thing is if you were flying Eastern Airlines, you could come in from your hotel, drop your luggage off here at Eastern Airlines, and then come back at the end of the day, and they would take you out to the airport by bus, and your luggage was already checked in, put on the plane, and you went on your way. So that was a big thing to try to convince people that Eastern would be the big thing. And
Look
then,
how cheap that sign is made. The sign, it's only printed on canvas.
yeah, but again, let me just go back to get it full. That lets you take a very small building and make it look much bigger. And up in the roof, you put the air conditioning, and it can be ugly and everything. So you just go and you cover it up with canvas and, you know, paint it on there, and again, you're building this building cheap. It's a great way to do it. They had a totally different paint structure between the two seasons, and again, that was an easy way to change it. And we come in for the Port Authority. I'm glad I didn't live around there because I would probably be very tired of helicopters.
I remember the noise of them when I was at the fair. They never stopped.
Yeah. And our Lowenbrow horses. She's standing up straight this time, but look how many things she's buying. Or I guess
And
he
she's-
has the camera, so she gets to carry all this stuff. But you know, she's starting to get loaded down there.
Long, bro.
Very nice
Mhm.
picture here of the Fountain of the Planets. Again,
Yeah.
just
Nice.
like you know, the Chrysler Pavilion fountains are off here, so a very flat day.
Yeah. Cool reflection. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it came out pretty nice.
Mhm.
The World's Fair Police Department is coming up to the Egyptian, the UAR Pavilion. The Protestant and Orthodox Pavilion. This was one of the last things taken down as the fair was coming down in construction wise. Not because they were out of money or anything, because this was a landmark that people doing demolition would be able to tell where their pile of debris was from other people's piles of debris. So the Fair Corporation asked some of the pavilions to leave things up so they, because everything else, you know, here's a pile of scrap metal. Was that the GE Pavilion or was that the Ford Pavilion? I don't know which scrap metal I'm supposed to take. So I've got pictures of devastation everywhere, and this cross just standing there like, you know, a symbol of hope or something in the middle of it.
What does the directional sign in the lower left say?
They did put up temporary direction signs for, you know, construction, but then anything that you could do cheap and just leave it up there and take it down at the end, that helped them
Oh,
out.
I mean, in this slide,
The
there's
light pole there is a sign with an arrow pointing to the
Oh,
left.
yeah, okay, hang on here 1 second. Yeah, so you have the Avenue of Europe here and Avenue,
First aid station.
First aid station, yeah.
yeah,
that's it.
Avenue of the Americas here. Then over here, First Aid Station. I actually, I just had it the other day. I've got the Avenue of Progress. I have one of these signs here in my house. So there was a fellow named, oh God, Michael Pender worked at the fair, and at the, whoops, the shared window is closed. I don't know how that happened. Hang on 1 second. Yeah, Mike at the end of the fair was taking home all sorts of bits and pieces of the fair, and he took home the what you call it, the street signs, and his son was very nice and gave me one. Let me go back here. Come on, share screen. Okay, see if this works now. The other day I was no, I don't like that. Cancel. Come on.
Yeah, and oops.
Let me close this down again and try this again. Come on. The other day I was doing a Zoom chat, and right in the middle of it, Zoom decided it was going to reload, and you know, luckily, I guess it was last week, right? And luckily the recording did pick it all up. So, okay, share screen. Okay, that was well worth waiting for, right? The Swiss
Yeah.
with all sorts of posters of Switzerland and everything around it. This one was really good. It gives you an idea of how large the Astral Fountain was, and they actually had to dial back the water. Usually it was shooting higher than the height of the fountain, but it came out on a windy day and soaked everybody in the area. So they installed a wind measuring device that would dial down the height of the fountain to keep, because this will get wet and people are slipping out there and threatening to sue the Fair Corporation. So they put in a weather control for the fountain.
Yeah, I really like the few pictures that were taken from the sunny side, because a lot of the pics from the dark side make it look very industrial.
Yep. And my friend, a friend in New York, has one of these stars on the wall of his basement, again, he wrote to all these people, could I have a piece of the fair when you're taking it down? Yeah, here's a star. You know, man, I wish I had the foresight he had.
How big is the star? About 5 feet across?
Probably close to about 4, but yeah, pretty large size, and not all of them. If we zoom in here, I don't think they're working right now. Yeah, none of these are running right now, but a bunch of them had hoses and mechanism up there where the water would actually shoot out. So this whole cage rotated, and some of these stars, the stars did not rotate, but they had pumps and plumbing that water would shoot out of the stars and you know, come down. So that they're not showing in this shot, but the one he has the connection for the water to shoot out. And brass rail, it's looks like a whole bunch of people enjoying their hot dogs and hamburgers. So I think we'll try one more batch here. May 1964. So early on, we got the Singer Bowl. Again, a very underutilized area. These are all storage lockers. So if you were buying tons of souvenirs, you could stick them in there. If you came in the morning and it was cold and you needed to put your jacket or sweater in there during the day, you were all set. And then down below here, one of the Greyhound bus stops. Walking in from the subway station on the Long Island Railroad, so you see over here to the left, we zoom in on it. The Long Island Railroad, and for anybody that's not from the east, please pay attention. It's the Long Island Railroad. So that's why it's the LIRR. For whatever reason, it's not the Long Island Railroad, it's the Long Island Railroad. So it's always 2 words, and you can tell if somebody's not from New York and they put it as 3 words instead of 4. So now if you ever go in Jeopardy and they ever ask, what is the name of the LIRR, or, you know, Long Island Railroad. I just always got a kick out of that because, you know, why that one, it's the only one that I know of is spelled out as 2 words like that. Knowing that Don will go to the internet and come up with 14 of them all within a month. But
What, railroad spelled as 2 words rather than 1?
yeah.
Railroad's always been spelled as 2 words rather than 1.
Well,
That's just a molding between the panels. They had to
but on
break
this
it up.
one, the Long Island Railroad is always that way. But if you look at the you know, New York Central Railroad or whatever, it's 1 word.
1 word?
Yeah, so go look up the lines, you know.
I
steam-
Yeah,
think in the
railroad's 1 word. That's why you have railroad ties.
railroad
Yeah,
was always 2 words.
well,
You
Go
see a
back.
lot of
It's
stuff.
always been 1 word. They did it differently here.
yeah,
Well, that's because it's New York. That's why.
that's right. So another nice day. The flags are up, and it looks like it must have been well watered here. We got some water on the ground, but the grass looks pretty nice. And again, this is early because there's no fences around it, which they ended up having to put little chain link fence, a little post with, you know, chains between them, you know, arches to keep people off because everybody was walking over and destroying all the niceness. And we have walking over towards Ford. Again, very early. You can see the trees aren't yet coming out. Fellows are wearing coats. If we look over here, again, everybody's wearing jackets, ties, hats, that sort of thing. And then we have Chrysler down below, the Port Authority, and the helicopter coming in. It says a much bigger crowd coming in, so lots of people going around. But even there, if I had to use the time machine going a crowded day, I'd still go on a crowded day. If again, we look up over here, lots of people on the upper level, lots of people on the second level, and the only thing on this level is a bunch of snack bar machines that had to be the worst investment anybody made for the fair because they didn't let anybody go to that level. So when they went to all the trouble to build a level you're not going to use, to sign a contract to put vending machines out there to provide food and soda and stuff, and then never let anybody go there. In all my pictures, I have 2 pictures of people standing up there looking over the edge. And it's one of the first things I get a picture, I zoom in on, nope, nobody up there. So one of the weird things of the fair. So that time I'll stop on purpose. So let me see what's in chat here.
You explained that before, Bill, but I can't remember. Why did they not let anybody on that lower level?
We don't know.
It's- Moses hated vending machines.
Why'd they even build that level?
We, we don't know. I've asked people that worked at the New York State Pavilion, and they said, I don't know. And he said, they just didn't do it. I've not been able to find out, and I keep thinking maybe if somebody went up there and they bought a container of milk from the machine and died because it's been up there for a year, but
You want to see some of the construction photos I have?
what's that? I don't have
I
time.
have some interesting construction photos if you want to see them.
Not today. I'd love to do it another day, but I've got
I
something.
think I emailed them to you a while back. There's about 25 photos taken from an aerial photographer.
Yeah, I'd have to go and look for them later on. So
They were taken about 10 months before the fair opened. It's amazing how little was built, but they're crystal clear shots.
yeah, they went to go and they got hurry up and build. I mean, if you people have not seen the documentary Disneyland Handcrafted, you can see it for free on YouTube, or if you pay for Disney Plus. And they really show, 1 year from opening, and you go, oh, there's no way they're gonna get this done. And the guy that was narrating the panel the other day said, it's all done like 6 months, 3 months, 2 months, 1 week, 2 days. And he says, wow, the whole thing the way it's staged, he goes, we all know how it turned out. We all know it opened on
Yeah.
time. She did a really great job of building up the anticipation, but you get there and they're 1 month away from opening and you go, no way. And they said people kept saying, could we push the date back, Walt? And Walt, no, he had already said on TV when it's going to open. But he said that if they had pushed the date back, people would have pushed it back even more. So by drawing that line in the sand, not everything was ready. Tomorrowland had all sorts of things that ignore that behind the fence. But if you haven't seen it, I really recommend it. It's all shot with 16mm film that was shot of the construction, so that Walt could sit at the studio and monitor the construction without having to drive all the way down to Anaheim and see how it was going on. And then he
Where
would
do
go
we
to
find that picture? Where do we find that?
YouTube, search for
YouTube
On
or
Disney
Disney Plus.
Plus.
YouTube or Disney
Yeah.
Plus, both have
if you
it.
have Disney Plus, great, but if you don't, it's free on YouTube. And
Gotcha.
What's the title again?
Disneyland Handcrafted. It's so they shot all this film, they shot it all silent, and again, parts done, got put in a warehouse, and somebody found it, and it's been floating around within the Disney circles for a number of years. But Leslie Iwerks, who did it, basically started working on it. The Disney Channel, Disney Plus funded it, and they started working, and COVID hit, and they had, like she was saying, they had to download all the films from the Disney Digital Archive, and because they weren't allowed to come into the studio for COVID, and kept crashing because the files are so big. Then they were all done as 2K scans, and they upscaled them to 4K. But they had hours and hours and hours and hours of footage to go through, but it was all silent. So when you watch the movie, it's got sound. So when the construction truck goes by, you hear the rumble of the engines and everything. What was all done at Skywalker Ranch, Lucas's facility, and they were so particular that they didn't just get the sound of a truck driving by. If it was a 1953, Land Mover, they got the sound of a 1953 Land Mover, and they put the narrator
Fully. Yeah.
on the panel said, "Well, how long did this take him?" She goes, "Oh, about 2 weeks." And he said, "No, it couldn't be." Well, maybe 3. And she talks about little things that were really unique. Like there's a scene where they put a tripod down on a platform, and then they lift the guy up in the air, and you hear the tripod thump on the platform. And she mentions how originally the first cut, the tripod just went down. And she said, "Well, I'd like to hear the sound of the tripod hitting the wood." And I went, "Okay." Click on the keyboard, thunk, this sort of thing. The
Yeah.
other thing, you watch it,
Amazing.
they were saying they were amazed the Disney lawyers let this thing come out, because people are taking the most fantastic risks of walking in things and doing things that
Oh,
they should not be doing. So
right.
80% of getting through this documentary, and the Disney Plus said, "We don't have any more money. We can't fund anymore. We're done." So it sat there for 2 years, and she happened to be at lunch with somebody from Disney Experiences, and they said, "Well, what have you been working on?" "Well, this and that." "What of that film you were doing?" "Oh, we ran out of money." And the guy said, "That's all?" I'll find you the money. And he found the money. So, even within Disney, big money here, big money there. And that's how it ended up on YouTube, because now they can get advertising revenue back from YouTube to try to replenish the
Recoup.
so just the mechanics of the behind the scenes making the behind the scenes film was kind of amazing.
Yeah, it's really great, and I guarantee you there's footage there that none of you have seen before.
Yeah, unless you're a Tony.
Posted the link.
What's that?
I posted the link to YouTube.
Oh, great, thank you. Yeah, it's really well
So-
done. And
Just real quick, how was the event with Leslie? I worked the other day. Leslie shared some pictures and talked about it a little bit, but
yeah, it was
what
really
else?
fun. They didn't screen the film; they only screened the trailer, and they
Right.
told you in advance it was just going to be discussion. So it was just her and Tim O'Day, and it was fun because like I said, I got there and I ran into Randy Cartwright. I hadn't seen him in 25, 30 years. I was, oh my God, we have a good talk. And there were a whole bunch of Floyd Norman was there, had a nice
Yeah,
talk.
Bob Gurr,
Yeah,
Bill
and
Carter,
what's that?
Bob Gurr, Bill Carter,
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I've
but
worked.
Howard Green. I thought, yeah,
I've
organized it, right?
with Floyd before, but I never really had a chance. It was always like interviewing for a panel. This was kind of nice just to sit and talk. And he was talking how Walt decided he was not a great animator, but he'd be a great story guy, and how it changed his entire life, and that sort of thing. And he was saying his boss came in and said, "Yeah, you're gonna work on Jungle Cruise and a Jungle Book," and he goes, "Who said so?" Like defiantly, who's saying that? The boss. Okay, yeah. But yeah, it was nice. We all went over to the commissary at ABC, had lunch after that, and it was great. The nice thing about this is you run into people you have not seen for a long period of time. So I was sitting next to Mike Bonifer, who had been a publicist at the studio. He started the same time Howard did, and he's just written his memoirs. And we were talking about the different films he worked on, and the Black Hole, and he says, you can imagine being the publicist to try to sell a film that doesn't have an ending. And he goes, they did that to me on Watcher in the Woods, but he goes, and he keeps telling people are asking, how's this film end? And all the press people. And he goes, well, it's a big secret. And he goes, because there was no ending. They were driving me crazy. They started the movie with no ending. And I said, well, it kind of shows, And then little things you wouldn't expect, just fun stuff like being in Switzerland, where they were shooting Condor Man, and he and Michael Crawford are sitting there watching Oliver Reed get progressively drunker and drunker every night at the bar, and how drunk he was throughout the movie. And basically, that he'd be slumped over and they'd prop him up, he'd give his lines and have another drink and fall over again.
Oh no.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was the nice thing. The screening was really nice, and Leslie had some really great anecdotes about the stuff she, the challenges of making it. But it was also just nice to run into, people I worked with. I had somebody that had never been on the lot before, so I only had X number of minutes because I had to come home and do an interview for an Expo 86 documentary. I made it home with 1 minute to spare. But I was like, okay, let's go through animation really quick. Let's go through here really quick. Oh, sorry, the archives is closed. Let's go over here, get in the car and leave. But it was I made time. Oh, that was my office. That was my office. That was my office. So it was a real whirlwind. Well, I was there about 4 hours, but again, after the screening, eat the lunch, and I said, do the entire lot out to the car and go. And you never know with the LA freeways, what it's going to be.
Was Didier Guez there too? Or Diaz?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Matter of fact, give me a ring later on. I talked to you about some stuff going on with the HHA. So
Yeah, I heard he quit, but yeah, I'd love to know more.
yeah. No, Paula was there, had a nice chat with her, and Tim O'Day, and like I said, there's always the same bunch of people, but there's always a new bunch of people. So it always makes it fun,
Leslie said that Les Perkins was having his annual record gathering
Oh, yeah. I
at his
talked
house.
really quick on the way out because I really, the guy I brought with me, I couldn't find him. I'm like, where the hell is he? On his phone, he's not answering. I was inside, he's out on the patio, and finally Mike Vaughn said, oh, I think the guy you're looking for is out there. It's like, I gotta go. He said, I have to say goodbye to Floyd Norman. I said, you have a choice. You can either get a ride back to your hotel or you can stay here and say goodbye to Floyd because I am going now. You know, it was really hectic. But Leslie and I, we posed for a selfie and then she went to go get an ice cream. And I said, oh man, I'd love to, but I can't. I gotta go. So, and then there's another one, those things coming up about the guy that wrote the book about the making of the tiki birds. So I'm looking forward to going to that. So Howard puts together great shows, and you know it's always fun. So hope everybody had fun going back to 64. Next week I think we're gonna have movies again. And then the week after that there'll be dead silence because Carol and I will be up in Seattle eating ice cream with our granddaughter. She you know, everybody that has kids knows they grow so fast, but the other day she was on the on FaceTime, and she's gotten her vocabulary very good. She's very good at Mickey Mouse. She's very good at ice cream. So I've taught this kid well.
This was a fun day, Bill, because we've had a lot of movies lately, and it was nice to be able to just sit and look at still photographs and zoom in and out and look at things. So this was a fun day. Thanks.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. It's this was a very hectic week, and I only put this together at let's see, it would have been 12 o'clock last night. On Monday, I went out on patrol, and you know, most of these things are very, very quiet. And unfortunately, you know, we got a call for a collision. Okay, we'll get over there. And then we hear, oh, it's a motorcycle. That can't be good. And we got there and they were doing CPR on the poor guy and he didn't make it. So, you know, now the next several hours is standing in the street dealing with that. So I could feel for Scott and his career as the paramedics, as they were working on this guy, but good. And he his own fault. He was going down the road, the estimates from the skid marks, because everything has to be done. Everything's measured and everything. He was going about 65, 70 miles an hour in a 35 zone. The traffic stopped for the light. He didn't. He laid down the bike and went headfirst into a truck. So, you know, and then the poor guy that he hits, I mean, the guy didn't hit him. He hit the guy, you know, and that the trauma of trying to calm that guy down and everything else. So that's the way the week went. And then we had major school walkouts for kids protesting ICE. So I had that Wednesday, and then yesterday we had, at one school we had about 300 kids walk out, and that went. They were really, really well behaved. I mean, they were on the sidewalk behaving themselves. They got up to a shopping center. They were, you know, holding up banners and doing everything. And some lady decided she had to come up and harass them. And I'll tell you, you talk about going from something on 0 to 60 in 1 second. Everything's calm. The kids are blowing whistles, they're honking horns. The next thing, water bottles and everything are flying through the air, and they're attacking this lady's car. And I'm going, I'm on the radio. Yeah, oh boy, so the patrol units go in and they're just starting to break that up. And some idiot decides I'm going to go do donuts on the road in front of the crowd because I've got 250 kids watching. So he's out there doing donuts. And you know, we got a guy doing donuts. Yeah, we got an unmarked car chases him down the street. So he leaves, and then there's an unmarked car with the lights, and then a marked car and got him. And then we finally said to the kids, I think there's enough fun before somebody gets hurt. But man, it's been a long week with a lot of extra hours. So
Bill,
yeah.
here's one for you. A sprinter from the last Olympics in Paris got pulled over in Florida. She lives in New York, doing 104 in her car. And she's pleading with the officer. The officer says, you're going to jail. He says, I've never done anything. I've never done anything. They pulled her history.
Yeah.
This is the third time her boyfriend shows up to try and de-escalate. Well, he ends up in cuffs and they find drug paraphernalia in his car.
Oh, no.
Right. Now you talk about the protest with ICE. It seems that it was an organized event because they had an event here on Long Island with a school district. And same thing. They were perfectly respectful. They went out. for about half an hour. They did their things, did a 180, went right back in. But it only takes one moron to set them off.
Yeah, no, they had it very organized. We actually had a chart of what school was going out at what time, and they were marching from point A to point B. There were people in
Mhm.
red shirts that were coordinating. At one point, I had to tell people, "Hey, get up on the sidewalk for your own safety." And then,
Right.
again, we're not doing anything to restrict First Amendment rights, but I don't want you to run over because you're walking with your back to traffic, and not good sort of stuff. So it went well. But yeah, we had a guy. We were doing radar on Monday. And 45 area, and you hear somebody coming, and you go, "Ah, man, this guy's got." And I try to shoot both, up going north, going south. Hear a guy coming from the south, turn around, 90 miles an hour, and said, "Gee, I don't." People are just morons. I mean, 90 miles in a 40 zone. So he gets a door knock, because again, I can't pull him over as the level of officer that I am. But okay, I got your plate, we got your picture, and now somebody's going to go out to your house. They're finally in LA. The state is finally letting them put in traffic cameras for speeding. They had them red light cameras that they took out a lot of them because they said it was unfair. It's raising revenue. Unfortunately, some
What?
young ladies got killed on Pacific Coast Highway by somebody speeding, and that was finally the impetus to put red light or speeding cameras around, for enforcement. And I'm a heavy foot guy. I'm always going a little faster than I should, but nobody should be going 90 in a residential area. And I'm looking forward to those cameras going in.
Bill, do you remember the Interborough?
Oh yeah,
Okay. Picture a truck going down the Interborough at 85
yeah,
through the Snake. Now, everyone, just so you know, the Interborough weaves through at least a half a dozen different cemeteries.
yeah.
And the speed limit is 45, and it's only for cars. And somehow this truck had gotten on there, and he was doing about 80. And all he did was flip from the eastbound to the westbound. And that closes the highway, that roadway, for at least 4 hours.
Yeah.
But they had, in school zones, they had speed cameras here, and it was 20 miles an hour. People complained that they were getting too many tickets
Yeah.
to their local representatives, and they yanked the cameras.
Well,
Duh.
just this
It's
morning,
your fault.
I had to send a unit out this morning. It was a girls' softball parade. And they do this every year. They make a bunch of floats, and they ride out to the field for the beginning of the softball season. And we provide escort to keep them safe. So they picture this: there's 5 black and white patrol cars going down the road with the lights on, and my person's in the last car in the back. And somebody decides they need to go around them, and they hit my person in the car. Luckily didn't do a lot of damage. But okay, now the traffic report and everything. You realize you just hit a police car? Well, I signaled, you were in my way. And literally the patrol cars are going down the middle of the road because again, to keep people from passing all the floats and everything. So they're driving down the middle of the lane to block both lanes at once. And the lady you were in the middle of the road, so I tried to go around you. You didn't give me enough room. And he goes, "What do you think the 5 police cars are for?" And she was very indignant, yelling, I said, "We need to see your license." So it's, people are just stupid. They really are. Well, I need to run. I've got something I got to go to. Thanks for the kind words, Baron. I hope to see you folks next week. Tom, give me a ring mid-afternoon or so. I think I have some pretty interesting stuff for you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thanks a lot, Bill. Thank you.
Okay.
Be well.
Bye.
Stay
See you later.
warm.
Bye.
Stay
Bye-bye.
warm.
Yeah, stay warm.
Take care, everybody.